our Mount Rushmore. I want to introduce you to our Red Sox Mount Rushmore. God, the hair. That's what we're talking about. I know I talk about it every time. I'm just jealous of anybody with really good hair. James obviously has some of the best hair in the game. There's not much better than that. I'm just jealous. I look at that every single time. But this is one of those incredibly historic franchises. One of the franchises I played for everybody. But I got to see some of the players on this list play in person. This is a fun one for me. This is actually a very, very hard one. They're all hard, but these ones get to be very difficult for me. There's so many good players, and not only good, but like with the Braves, the best ever. And so Boston, let's get right to it. My number one, or just first player on my Mount Rushmore Red Sox, is Ted Williams. And Ted Williams, I mean, what are you going to say about Ted Williams? This dude is an absolute amazing baseball player. 342 average with the Sox, over 500 home runs, and 1,800 RBIs. He won the batting title an astonishing 6 times, a 2-time MVP, 2-time Triple Crown winner. He made the All-Star team a couple times, 19 freaking times. That is absolutely ridiculous. And still to this day is the last player to ever hit 400. Tony Gwynn got close, a few guys got close, but he is the last player to ever hit 400. Absolutely amazing player. And all of these stats you have to take into account. For 3 years, he served in World War II and was an ace fighter pilot. I mean, 3 years right in the middle of his like studliness, the middle of the time. Can you imagine what he could have done with those years? That'd be 600 home runs. You never know, like what he could have done. That would have been another 400. What's amazing too is when you can leave, because they're not out on some island in the Pacific hitting every single day, or even if they are, they're not seeing real pitching. He was able to sustain his greatness even after 3 years of not swinging a bat against real legit pitching. Absolutely amazing what players of this generation were able to do. Answer the call of service for their country while maintaining just an amazing baseball career. And God, that swing. And when I'm out in Boston, there's Teddy ball game. There's nothing like it. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. It's just different. You still see the red seat in Fenway on where you hit a home run, and it's absolutely amazing. So number 2 on my list, Pedro Martinez. Pedro, what are you going to say? One of the very best seasons of all time. I believe it was in 98 or 97. That All-Star game appearance you're seeing here, where he struck out just a crazy amount of Hall of Famers basically in a row. And Sammy should be a Hall of Famer. And in my mind, Sammy should be a Hall of Famer. I think he was in the first player that really got in that juice conversation where they didn't make the Hall of Fame. But Pedro was just overpowering as a Boston Red Sox. 117 wins, 2.52 ERA and 201 starts. He won 4 ERA titles and back-to-back Cy Young Awards, made 4 All-Star teams, led the league in strikeouts 3 times. The thing about it was, well, yes, he was an Expo, then he was here, he was with the Braves or with the Mets. He spent times with different teams. But when he was with the Boston Red Sox, he was just so dominant, so overly powerful as a pitcher. And again, one of the greatest seasons of all time. He's on a short list of players that if you said, hey, I want one guy to take the ball in an important game, it's him. Absolutely amazing. It's amazing pitcher, and to watch him pitch, watch him be a bulldog. I know there was always the controversy of who's your daddy type of stuff with the Yankees, but I guarantee you, if you look back, he commanded the Yankees a lot more than they ever got him. And you're always going to sit back and say, there's maybe the game where Grady Little should have took the ball from his hand and all that stuff, and like whether they let him keep pitching against the Yankees. I don't care. Pedro was one of the greatest pitchers of all time, Hall of Famer, and obviously on our Mount Rushmore of Red Sox. Next up on the list, I'm going to absolutely butcher his name. I never have gotten it right in my entire life. Carl Yastrzemski. I don't know if I even said it right, but Yaz, absolutely amazing Boston Red Sox, MVP, Triple Crown winner, 7 Gold Gloves, 3 batting titles, 18 All-Star games. He is still, and I think about this when you're talking about Ted Williams, talking about some of the players on this list, some of the players that played in Boston. He is the all-time leader in hits, runs, RBIs, and doubles for the Boston Red Sox. It's funny, everyone talks about Ted Williams because of how great he was, but Yaz beats him in those categories. I never really appreciated Yaz until I started running through numbers like this. And when I was with the Boston Red Sox, you start to understand how great of a ball player he was. It's funny because like there was a certain era for me, and we've talked about it on the show, in that 70s era that I missed, that I just never connected with the same way. 70s, like early 80s. And I kind of I will own this. I don't appreciate those ball players enough. I don't appreciate what they did. Maybe a little dead ballish era, and before that, the steroid era came in the 80s and 90s. But man, Yaz was absolutely amazing. He was the first player that I kind of studied and looked at from those eras and started like changing my perspective on it, and how good of a ball player was, how great he was at just bat to ball contact and then getting the ball anywhere in the field. If you're watching this, like you're seeing him hit the ball to left field, right field, doing everything. You see him defensively just being absolutely amazing. He wasn't just this pole hitter that hit bombs. He did everything. And Yaz is on our Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame, or Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame. He is obviously a Hall of Famer. Next up on the list, and this is where it got a little tough. It got tough to try to figure it out. And you know me, I like to choose different generations, different players that mean different. They just mean something more to their organization, to their team. Big Papi, David Ortiz, my ex-teammate, maybe arguably with Edgar Martinez, the greatest DH hitter of all time, as long as Ohtani doesn't keep staying at DH, because what he's doing is absolutely sick and ridiculous. But David Ortiz, 10-time All-Star, 7 Silver Slugger awards. He was the home run derby champion, obviously. Like, that was amazing moment when you got to see that. He led Boston, more importantly, to 3 World Series championships, 2013 MVP of the World Series. Again, one of the greatest designated hitters of all time, and probably most notably clutch hitters. That was the thing. He always found himself up to the plate at the big moments when everything mattered the most, and he's coming through with huge hits, not just a walk or something, but a huge home run. You're seeing right here, bottom of the 14, 4-4 in the ALCS. Don't throw it. No, he did it. He let him hit it. David Ortiz was just clutch, just big time. And you know what it was, is while Jason Varitek, when I was in Boston, was the captain. He was the guy that would get the room in line, get everybody on the same page. He was behind the scenes, but Papi was the voice. Papi was the voice. And there, one of those moments that still stands out is after the Boston Marathon bombings, and he stood up and said, "This is our fucking town." Dude, goosebumps. I'm still getting goosebumps, because you know what? He said it. He said exactly what everybody wanted to hear. And he's the one that always seemed to be the microphone in his hand at the right moment, with a bat in his hand at the right moment. He's the guy you always wanted, and he always seemed to come through. David Ortiz, absolute stud, on our Mount Rushmore. Definitely got to hit this. First player out. This was a tough one for me, because there's been some guys. Wade Boggs was incredible. He absolute amazing player. Cy Young, how do you not give him, like, Cy Young was a Boston Red Sox. He only was there for 8 years. I know Pedro was there for less. Cy Young might have done more with his time there. I don't think Cy Young is like it doesn't resonate like Pedro does with the Red Sox fan base. But my first one out, Roger Clemens. And the thing about Roger and the Rocket, he just didn't spend enough time in Boston. One of the greatest pitchers of all time, should be a Hall of Famer in my mind. He had 80 WAR, third highest WAR as a Boston Red Sox that there is. But he just didn't spend enough time there. He had 3 Cy Youngs while he was in Boston, an MVP award in '86. The only problem is he won, what did he win? 7 Cy Youngs, but he won 3 of them there. So that's the thing to me, is like, who who is he? Is he a Boston Red Sox? Is he a Blue Jay? Is he a Yankee? Is he an Astro? He just was so good at different teams that I can't fully call him a Red Sox and say Mount Rushmore Red Sox. Same thing with Cy Young. He was around different teams. You can't just call him that. Now, what I love though is looking at the players on the current roster and say who could possibly be there. I think there's two players. First one, Rafi Devers. What he has done in his short time in Boston is amazing. I don't think it is Mount Rushmore worthy though. That's the problem. Is like Yaz and Ted Williams, the two hitters that he could probably catch here. David Ortiz, DH, a little bit different, but those two guys were so dominant even from the moment of go. 19 All-Star games, 18 All-Star games, leaders in hits, runs, like RBIs, like home run, over 500 home runs. Rafi's just not on that level yet, but he's getting there. Jaron Duran, love this young kid. You love this kid. First full season, absolutely going to be a stud. Had a great first season. I don't think he has the tools that these guys have, but if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be one of those two guys. If Durant can continue his pace on this first season, get better his second year, and then kind of continue that, there's going to be some conversations where he's in at least a Dustin Pedroia type of conversation, if not a little bit better. And I love that Petey got some love on the All-Star ballot. It's amazing. But those are the two guys on that team that can currently maybe do it: Jaron Duran and Rafael Devers. Red Sox. That's a tough one, man. How do you look at this team and just go and break it down to a couple guys like Dwight Evans, Tris Speaker again, Pedro, Papi, Pedroia, is absolute stud, Bobby Dorr. Like, how do you get this list down to a couple? But I think it's a pretty solid list. So let us know what you think of the Red Sox Mount Rushmore. If you got somebody else that you think on that should be on the list, do you think Rogers should be in it? Do you think Pedro should be out? Do you think Papi should be in it? Let me know. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you send this to your friends. So thank you very much for joining us for the show. James, we want you to get back. We want you to get healthy. Come back for the show next week. We should have a family member of mine on the show next week. We've been talking to Ryan Roland Smith. He said he'll come on the show, so that will be awesome. We'll talk some Mariner baseball with him and his job and his getting a lot more TV time. You get to see that beautiful Australian face and talk about great hair. That dude's got incredible hair. He might even have better hair than James. So we should have him on the show next week. But thank you for joining us, and make sure you tune in to all of what Man Cave has for you on YouTube and hit up all of our podcasts. And again, thank you.